Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and I'm going to take a deeper look and give you my thoughts of what the Firewalla Purple has done or been able to do for me since I received it, and I've been messing around with it for about a few months since it came in the mail. I was part of their Indiegogo campaign, so I've had it from the onset, and while this device will go around it real quick, it has been helpful and interesting. There are some pitfalls I think people should be aware of, and I hope that, in essence, this is a stepping stone for Firewalla to maybe create a better device. Um, let's go around here. I know that they have the gold, and I probably should have, now looking back at it, gone with the gold, but this device does kind of what it needs to do. It's still in a weird space overall, though, right? They're trying to make it a router now. They're trying to improve this to really kind of be the main center point of your network rather than just the um, additional security device. I don't know if that's the right move for them as well for what this device is today. So let's go around the device. We have an SD card, and I believe that's a little reset button. I've never used it, so that's the one good thing, right? I've never had to reset this to go through and say it's messed up so bad it just needs to be reset. They've done a pretty good job of making sure updates and everything move forward. You got VENs on both sides, and this device also has a wireless antenna, which is a nice added feature, except nothing I've used yet. It has a status light, and it has power as well as another USB, and then it has 2 gigabit ports on here. One's a WAN and one's a LAN. And I showed you the top of the Firewalla. Sometimes this camera just doesn't want to focus very well. And then on the back side, I'm coming up the QR code because that's how you connect. So I'd rather not everyone be able to, try to connect to my device. So overall, I've been really impressed with this device. It's done what I've asked it to. Right? It's had another set of eyes on my network. The ad blocker works really well. Now, if you're in strict mode, it works too well. It will block pop-ups at ads that are needed that really aren't even ads. For credit card applications, etc., different types of security applications, it will even block those. I've had a few of those here over the last few months, and it's been annoying to go do. One thing Firewalla should do, though, is not hide the emergency access, which is, hey, disable some of the stuff on here so that you can actually do something right off the bat. Not hide it underneath different menus. If you go to the website, you'll see emergency access that they have it stuck underneath rules. If you want to do it against for everything on your network, it's underneath rules, and then it's underneath a 3 dots in the upper right hand corner, and then you do emergency access. That's too many clicks. That's not the time that you go in there and you're looking for it. It needs to be more, okay, I'm having a problem. I don't want to always be in this app to always learn it and always be up to date. It should be easy access. I think that's going to be a pain point for people that come into the firewall, and people recommend it, but they miss out on certain things, especially when they do updates and it may change where things are located. You can always go to each machine and make them exempt. However, a little bit faster access, say, hey, I need this quick, I'm trying to get something done, it's going to enable back in 15 minutes. Those things can be useful for the firewall because it does do a good job of blocking different things, and it has multiple rules. You set up the rules for, you had that thing with, the log.j having an issue, or log4j, something like that. And this had an update, so you could make sure that you were blocking those attacks. These are the things that the firewall, I think, excels in. Now, I have used this in simple mode, simple experiment mode, and bridge mode. I have no desire to use this in router mode. For me, I have a network set up with a UDM Pro. That's my router. That's where everything comes in. and then it goes out from there. One reason is this is only gigabit. Yes, I know I only have gigabit Ethernet, but between the modem and the UDM Pro is 2.5 gig connection through there. So if they have over provisioning or everything, I can take advantage of that, except when it's in bridge mode, because then you're back down to gigabit. And then actually, now that I have this removed out right now because I have another scenario I will get into for a friend that this really works well for. Or at least I hope it's going to work well for. I've done some testing with it and it looks quite amazing. I like how they did certain things with this. Now, now that I have this out, right, I'm 10 gig between my UDM Pro and my network switch, which is a big deal for all the data I do transfer back and forth. Luckily, I don't have too much on the UDM Pro, but if I wanted to use that switch, even though we could get into the technical limitations of all that, there are other side effects, right? And all this other stuff. Now, I suppose my UDM Pro does, when it was going through this, was in the bridge mode, right? Everything gets captured through here between the switch and here, which has been great, right? Everything. Whereas if you have it in simple mode, it's using AQR, one of the two, and to capture and get that information, which you could get around with it. So there is that side effect with simple. Now, I would have liked to seen them expand this on the simple side a little bit more. I think that that's more of a bigger use case than this is right now, or even in bridge mode. I think that that's the direction that they need to go. Maybe they're going into more routers, except if this goes in router, it becomes less attractive to me going down, especially with the port limitations here. So there is that side effect. Now, they do have, what else they got here? They have monitoring. They have, your open ports. I really like that this can go and do open ports. Some of the elements that this has could be taken by a lot of other people in the industry to say, hey, this is what we need. It monitors all the devices. In bridge mode, it does an excellent job if you have multiple VLANs. You just add the networks into there, what the VLAN is, and you're off to the races. Simple mode, it doesn't do as well. I will say that. And if you have multiple VLANs, you may not. You may want to go to the gold so you can set those up if you want to be in simple mode. Otherwise, go to bridge mode. That's a much better way a route to go, I should say. So they do have a web page for this device that you can go to. It sucks. Don't do it. It needs a lot of work. I'd like to have the same feature set on the web page as the app, because as the phone's nice, I'm on the computer an awful lot, and if I'm doing other router settings, which I'm on the computer anyways, or network settings, I want to adjust, right? And this is one way to do it. Now, if this has data usage, all that fun stuff too. Their DNS side, so they have family security and safety, and they have DNS safety or DNS stuff, and they kind of work in conjunction. There's not really a good way. If you turn on the family stuff, you'll not be able to your DNS service over HTTPS. They also have Unbound, which be careful. I don't know if it was just Firewall's implementation, but one day my DNS is down, everything's going through this, and fun mess, right? That has been the downside to this, is that sometimes things just go a little haywire and then you have to figure it out. If you keep it more basic, more of on the safe side, not do the advanced like ad blocker and stuff like that, you'll be fine, right? You'll have your extra security. You'll be able to see what's going on the network, what maybe should be stopped or not. Overall, though, I think it does a good job. So you have routes. I know one thing, it messes with my Plex server a lot. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it wants to block it. It can't seem to make up its mind some days, which is annoying. And I wish that there's been no updates to it. and that is concerning to me when there's no updates to a device and it starts switching back and forth, um, being able to access it. Now I've set everything up correctly, I believe, and there was some issues there, but you know how it goes. The little setting can change it. Now, that's fine for me, but when you're looking at somebody else, and somebody else is trying to get into a platform, that's something you have to be concerned about. So, um, what else? I was going through some other things. It does have a VPN client, and let's get into that. So it has a VPN client, so you can connect two of these boxes, all that sort of stuff. One thing I actually found that was kind of interesting and worked really nice was the VPN stuff on here. You set it up, it takes like 5 minutes, you're connected, and it's off to the races. Some of the other VPNs can take a while to set up, or some of them don't have access to a whole bunch of different platforms that I've been checking out here lately. Maybe there's a better VPN setup, and feel free to put it in the comments below. I'll definitely take a look at it. But I have a friend that needs VPN access to his network, and I'd like to be able to do some other stuff with it, and I think in later releases of competitors' products that might happen. But this is actually a pretty cheap device, can monitor that data going in on the VPN, basically, right? That's what it is. You know who's connected to it, and you can then have a VPN into your network. I think that this is actually another like that security device that you could actually have, and people would be like, oh yeah, that's a useful tool to it. So I really like that part of this. I mean, that was one really impressive thing that when this question came up to me, I was able to use and jump on it. I was very impressed. So, yeah, it is very impressive what they've done. So, I do, they have an active protect. Let me just go through this again. So, what I've been using, like I said, I've done through a whole bunch. So I started on simple mode, went to bridge mode. Now I'm testing out simple mode. I'm testing out a lot of different stuff with this, which also does mess with my network a little bit. But they have the active protect stuff, and you can choose normal or strict, right? They have the ad blocking. They have your dynamic DNS, right? They have your port scanning on all your devices, a huge help, right? Just to know what's open. The family and DNS stuff is just hard, right? Because you're choosing between, doing the family protect DNS or doing the, unbound and stuff like that. So there is, I think, further updates that need to happen there. Now, there is horrible web part. There's the network where you can see your LAN, your VLANs if you set them up there, and everything else. They have your routes where you can do different routing. Your VPN server, which again on this thing is really great. And then they have a whole bunch of other things. Now, overall, would I recommend this device? If you, let's say you're looking and you have a home network and you want to get a little bit more insight. Let's say you buy a consumer router, definitely. One of these, I would add into that. Now, if you are using some more prosumer equipment, is this a device for you? Is this something that you should be looking at? Potentially. And the reason why I say potentially is because I think that if Firewall wanted to, they could really put in some updates to make this an interesting product for that prosumer market, and where it would be an addition. I don't think, maybe some people like to use this in router mode. I don't necessarily like it that much. I've had some issues with the speed test stuff in here. While the speed test stuff is nice, it doesn't give an accurate perception of what's actually going on here from this device. And sometimes your network perceives to be slow, and you turn on emergency access, and all of a sudden it's working fine. And then you have to start diagnosing what in this thing is actually preventing the network to work properly. So there is prosumer items to this, which another end user that wants to protect their network more has to be conscious of, but it's kind of a trade-off, right? This device isn't, especially if you were to go with like a red or a blue plus, you have a better point of entry than just the purple now, which is a little bit more money. And as they keep getting higher and higher in money, it's harder and harder to justify adding this into your network. Now, one thing I'd like to see is a 2.5 gigabit option, 10 gigabit SFP ports, stuff like that. Gigabit, it's fine, but we're seeing more and more networks that are moving towards, 2.5 gig, etc. And what am I supposed to do if I want it in bridge mode? And this is now going to be a limiting factor in my network. Yeah, I don't like that idea. I still got my inner LAN fine, but let's say you have bring 2.5 gigabit internet into your house, and now all of a sudden you're getting a gig out of it. It's really when other network devices and appliances and your firewalls are going to 2.5 to have a gig, it's really a downside. Now, for traveling, I think this would be a great idea for traveling as well, right? It's got wireless as well as you can put in for your internet, so you can use it as something to VLAN back better, or have it all set up to connect to help protect you a little bit more when you're on the internet while traveling. So let me know if you want to. I go through but showing my phone, but it's just going to see the lights on the back side of the camera here. Going through, there's a lot of different options in here. I am going to test this out at a friend's house. So if that ends up working, I'll probably get something else, maybe another Firewalla Purple or something there to test out. Maybe we go through all the different options, all the different items set up. I did really enjoy it when it was in bridge mode, and it was a great device overall. Simple mode is not as helpful, and the feature set to keep track of between the different options is something to compare to as well. If you're looking at this device and you want to know, does it work? Yes, it can help you protect your network better. It works well. If you're looking at this device and saying, I want something to be more, just to help out my home network, very good option as well. If you're looking at this and saying, I'm a novice and I want a better security, but I don't want the hassle to jump through a whole bunch of hoops, and I don't necessarily want to figure out what might be going wrong in my network, be careful, right? Remember, you always have the emergency access, but they keep moving the emergency access around to different spots, and they need to get a better option for that in this device through the app or a web page or whatever else. I think it should be a easier toggle when something's going wrong, somebody gets in, right? You don't want somebody in your family yelling at you, why isn't the network doing this, and then have to go through and either find a device or find the global thing underneath rules, and then 3 dots in the upper right hand corner, and then emergency access. That stuff just takes too long. So hopefully that they have a little bit better software implementation going forward and more reliable. They do provide updates, which has been impressive. So maybe that they'll keep improving the device and be something more to it. But there is usefulness in this if that's what you're looking for. So with that, let me know if you have any questions or comments on this. I do want to do another video on this device. There isn't much out there on this, and I kind of like to walk through all the UI just so you guys kind of have a better understanding of what's going on here. But that would be at a later time, because I first need to test this out at a friend's house to see if it's an option for what he needs. Till next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.